Just kidding. You don't have to watch that the entire time or go again. Wouldn't that be funny though if that were to happen? I'm just kidding, you guys. I'm so glad to be here today. You get to find out exactly why I'm still tutoring online. That's right. I started in 2010. I wanted to help kids with reading. And today, you're going to find out why it is 2021 and I'm still teaching reading online. That's right. I got started like way back before like tutoring online was a popular thing. And I'm still doing it today because I absolutely love it. So reason number one, I just have a passion for teaching reading online. And I know that you guys who have gotten to know me for a while, you just know how passionate I am about helping my kids and the students and learning absolutely everything that I can. Why is that? I think one of the big reasons is because I struggled when I was a kid. I struggled with reading online, not reading online, I struggled with reading in general. And I was able to come through, and not only was I able to eventually just become a lifelong learner because of my reading ability, it allowed me to do so much. It opened up doors that I had never seen. I remember like when I read the books of Narnia and just being able to just see all of those images and, being able to see the world that was inside of that wardrobe. And oh my gosh, like the whole world just opened up for me to possibility of imagination, to the possibility of learning and where that can take you. And so my own passion for then reading became something that I was going to take with me. I decided at one point when I went to college, I was going to be a lawyer. But it wasn't right for me. After my first year, I decided this is not the path that I want to take. And it was immediately that I began thinking about and pondering, what is it that I want to be? And at that point, I realized I wanted to be a teacher. And I went through that whole process. I went through my student teaching. I went into the classroom and I taught. And there was one thing about teaching that I didn't love. And for me, that was classroom management. I loved teaching, but I hated classroom management and how much time it took sometimes, and how sometimes it felt like, I spent more time on meetings about kids and their discipline problems and all of those kinds of things than I actually got to spend on learning new strategies to be able to make sure that all kids were succeeding and getting the results that they wanted to get. And so when I left the school system, I actually spent a year out of teaching. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. And then it all came back. I had at that point learned how to use Skype and was really familiar with it, and decided that I was going to start teaching reading online. And I was going to figure out how to do it. And I did. I not only figured out how to do it, I figured out how to do it really, really well. And I started seeing the results that my kids were getting. So that is my reason number two, was those results. That's what keeps me coming back, because I do this initial assessment and I'm able to find out, where is the kid? Where are they specifically? And where do I want to take them? And I started looking at those results over time. I'm like, holy cow, I was able to close the gap faster than I was ever able to do in the reading school, in the school system. I normally would take a year to be able to move a kid on up a full year, right? But now I was able to take a kid from where they are, and I was able to move them up the levels very quickly without having to spend an entire year to move them up. Or like in special education, their goal is to catch a child up 2 years in just 1 year. And I was able to do it in 8 to 12 hours of instruction. And I was like, what? And some people are like, well, why do you say 8 to 12 hours of instruction? Well, for some kids it was 8, for some it would be 9, some it would be 10, some would be 4. I was like, what? Like, how in the world? And then some it would be 12, some would be, 14. So like 8 to 12 is like the range, the absolute like range that most of my students were falling on into. There were outliers, before and after that, but the whole range was around that average of 8 to 12. And all of a sudden that kept me really sparked. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to know more. Now, I had already invested a lot of time in learning how to teach kids reading. And now I was applying all that information that I had learned and I was putting it into practice with my own students one-on-one. And that I just love working with kids one-on-one. I know I could make more money teaching kids in groups, but I also know I wouldn't be able to get the kinds of results that I get in reading specifically with these kids. And so that is one of the things that keeps me going working with kids one-on-one, is because I know that when I can take a look at them and I can help them get the results that they want in a short amount of time, that is really exciting stuff for me. Reason number 3 that keeps me going: 20% of the kids that go through school struggle with reading. There is always a ton of students that are needing help. Now, do all of those kids seek out help for their reading? No, absolutely not. Some are able to be helped in the school system through interventions and through the help that they get there. Some people decide to hire on out, but there's always students that are going to struggle. And I remember I worked for a school system where 30% of our kids were reading on grade level and 70% struggled. So there is always a huge amount of kids that are struggling and they need my help. And I know how to help them. And that keeps me going, because I'm like, all right, I know exactly, like, if I can just do this quick assessment to find out exactly where you're at, I know exactly where I need to give you instruction, and I can help move you forward and be able to do that. All right, so number 4 that keeps me going: I love learning about the new tools that are out there. So last week in my video, I shared all about some of the tools that I absolutely love using. I love using like wordwall.net, where there's, you can just create on demand these different lists and games to play with kids. I just think that's incredible. I love that there are tools like Res Kids that have books at all the different levels that you need, and they're always adding to it. So I always get excited when they add new features and elements and different things. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. That's going to make me even better. I love it. I even have like the ability to take the words from the books and create, activities and resources on demand. And those kinds of things excite me. So that's why I keep doing what I do, because I'm constantly in a state of being excited about continuing to teach kids and learn about these new resources, and they like to flip it around a bit too, and get to utilize some of these new tools and resources as well. They think it's a lot of fun, and I always use like their reactions to determine, is this something I'm going to keep? Is this something I'm going to change? Are they having fun with it? And that's when you know that you've got like the right tools to be able to help kids. Even like hands-on tools. I left all my stuff upstairs, but like Wiki Sticks, and being able to use Wiki Sticks and being able to use sand, and all these different things that we can utilize with our students. Number 5, why I keep tutoring online. Honestly, it's easy. For me, it's easy because I had a passion to be able to teach kids to learn how to read. I have moved out of that state where it takes a lot of work and a lot of time. It is a really easy way for me to be able to make money, but at the same time, it's in service of kids who really need the help. And so you put that together, that I love doing it. It's easy for me to know exactly what to teach, when to teach it. That's why I keep going. Because I'm just like, okay, there's nothing easier. Like, I don't have to do any lesson planning. I come up with a plan right out of the get-go after I do the assessment. And then I come up with my plan. And my plan is there to really guide me through the place. So I would love to know from you guys, why do you love tutoring online? So we're going to take a look at some of the people that we have inside of the house. I want to welcome you. We've got other reading tutors in the house as well. Sweet. We've got Natalie in the house, and we have Robert, Maria, woo-woo, and we have Miss Diva. Oh, that's Nicole. Welcome, Nicole. Glad you're here. And Shireen from Hermsdorf. And I would love to know, you guys, why do you love tutoring online? I think that's a really big thing is, when we talk about being able to do something, this isn't about just making an income, right? It's about making an impact, being able to do something that you love, that is impactful and helps other people. And so definitely type on down why you love tutoring online. And I'd have to say, number 6, I love reading about it. Like, I never get sick of like buying books. I've got 2 books here that I'm reading right now. One is called Overcoming Dyslexia, that I'm going through with the people going through my reading interventionist course right now. This is the 2nd edition. That's something really important to kind of point on out, because the 1st edition is completely different. And she even puts that here. A major update, and it is a major update and revision of the essential programs for reading problems at any level, incorporating the latest breakthrough in science, educational methods, technology, and legal accommodations. So really great book, and I'm enjoying reading it. I read it for pleasure because it is only going to help me become better in my craft. Another book that I just got, and we're going to have this author on in a couple weeks, is this one's called Helping Your Child with Language-Based Learning Disabilities by Daniel Franklin. And there's a whole bunch here that has to deal with the types of things that I deal with when working with kids with dyslexia. So I'm constantly growing in my own knowledge, keeping up to date on the latest research and what are the best ways to be able to approach reading. Are there different things that I can learn that would make what I do even better? I'm always looking to improve. And I think that's something that's important to think about. Are you looking to improve in the area that you tutor? This isn't just about, okay, I think I'm going to tutor math, and then you just look at the kids' homework and you just try to help them with those problems, right? This is really about getting down into like, how do kids learn best? What are some of the things that are hindering kids from being able to learn, let's say math or reading, right? What can you do to be able to overcome those obstacles to help them get through and break through to the next level? That stuff excites me to no end. We have here, I love tutoring online because I can work with my exact ideal client and can work with students regardless of location. I also have the resources that I need at my fingertips. I love the fingertips. Oh, those aha moments. You can never get enough of the aha moments. Thank you. Yes. It gives me the freedom to tutor my students the way that works best for them. And I think that's really, really important. I no longer have to have discussions on which are the best ways to teach certain kids with psychologists or with, the principal or meetings, or spend any of the time disagreeing on what are some strategies. Instead of talking about all the ways that we could be helping kids, we could actually be helping them, right? Versus having all these different meetings. So that definitely helps. We've got lots of people mentioning our aha moments. I love it. Tutoring online is simple. It's effective. It's a time saver for both the tutor and the students. Yeah, it allows me to be able to, I didn't even think about that. It allows me to be able to work with more students with less drive time, right? I don't have to drive to their house, or they don't have to drive to my house. The people that drive to my house, they end up being 5 or 10 minutes late. Sometimes their parents will pop on in 5 to 10 minutes early, and I need to get the door, and I'm still teaching their students. So there's different like distractions that can actually hinder our success in moving forward. Definitely pandemic friendly, yes, for both you and your students. I love it. Yes. So good. I get to teach without the dreadful paperwork. I know, right? Any paperwork I do is meaningful. It's meaningful to me, right? It's meaningful to me because I get to see, okay, is this going to be useful for the parent? If it is, then I'm going to do it. If it's not, then I'm not going to do it. Is this going to be a time waster? I can take all those things that I think could be time wasters and not really helpful and throw them out the door. And I can really focus on the things that are going to make the biggest impact. Yeah, and you get to be a little bit more flexible with your schedule and be able to work with kids all over the world. I love it. And that's actually one of the things that I got to do this past weekend. So we were going on up to Minneapolis for a wedding. My nephew was getting married. Yay. So excited. Shout out to Travis Subnica. Woo, woo. He'll never see this, but shout out anyways. My husband's like, well, can we leave a little earlier? I'm like, sure, I'll just tutor in the car. So we drove on up to Minneapolis, and I tutored for an hour and a half in the car while we drove on up. So, it's like, it doesn't have to, it can be a part of like what I do. It doesn't have to, stop me from being able to do other things as well, which is really, really awesome. All right. Number 7, I don't know about you guys, but I kind of geek out about data. And this kind of goes into results. Like, there's just something. I took that statistics class when I was getting my master's for being a reading specialist, and I started kind of falling in love with taking a look at real data, the data that actually speaks to you, the data that helps you to determine what it is that you need to teach. And so being able to take a look at the types of sight words that kids are not able to read, and then what patterns do they not know? And then from there, which ones do I need to teach, right? So using the right kind of data versus the wrong kind of data. I could look at a state assessment's data till kingdom come. I'm going to tell you right away, there are things missing off of that state exam. A, I don't know what the kid sounds like. B, I don't know if the kid just chose A, B, C, D, right? And just answered it, the questions. A kid can pour extremely badly on a state exam, but actually be a little bit better reader than what they did on the state exam. But that state exam isn't going to tell me what that child's really struggling with. If the kid's struggling with reading, this is the part that always gets me. If a kid is struggling with reading, they're probably going to struggle with reading the questions as well, right? And so we don't know if the kid just doesn't know one of the words in the question or really doesn't understand the passage. And so even with the comprehension skills, it's not giving you quite the same data as if you were to give that test one-on-one. And so I'm all about the right kind of data that's actually going to drive instruction versus data that is submitted to grade a school, right? The right kind of data really does drive me and excite me. That, and I love the puzzle. Okay, like I feel like teaching each kid individually is like a puzzle. So this is number 8, you guys. It's like a puzzle because kids don't struggle with the exact same things in the exact same order and the same exact, like every kid is different, right? And they learn differently. And I love to put the pieces of that puzzle together for them. So I like to learn, okay, what kind of learner are they? What strategies are going to work to be able to teach them? And then I love being able to learn, okay, what is missing? Like, what can they do really well? What do they need to do well? And then be able to help them from there. There's just something that drives me to that excites me because I'm like, all right, know where to go, right? Which then builds confidence. And when you're confident that you can help a child, a parent feels confident in being able to hire you. You're like, look, okay, I can see exactly where your child's at based on the information you gave me, what the teacher's seeing in school and what I'm seeing. We could definitely help your child. And number 9, this is such a big one. I love instilling the love for reading in kids. I have a student that I work with, and I told her dad right out of the gate, look, kids who struggle with reading, they don't always just love to learn to read. Like, they don't just love it. They don't love it. They don't enjoy it. But my goal will be to help your child to love it more than they do now. So I don't overpromise on that because there's a lot of kids, they still hate reading, but they get better at reading based off the things that I teach them. But Annalena, this one little girl, I told the dad, I'm like, look, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get her to the point where she just loves reading as much as you do. And she's picking up books on her own and doing that kind of stuff. But I can tell you that she will love it more than she does today. And he's like, that's good enough for me. And this is the girl that every time I now have a session with her, when we end our session, she's like, oh, come on. And then every time we start our session, she's like, oh, I'm so excited. I can't wait to find out what's going to happen next. And that just drives me. I'm just like, yes, this is why I love working with you, because you absolutely are getting it. You're getting the pure joy of reading and what's going to happen next. And she does it with fiction books. She does it with nonfiction books. And it's just so fun just to see that love of reading really being instilled in her, that she can get entertainment in more ways than just TV, right? If she wants to pick up a book now, she's got all the skills that she needs to be able to pick up a book and read it for pleasure. And that's really awesome when you can start seeing that happen. Number 10, I absolutely love teaching other tutors about it. I could talk about reading from the time I wake up in the morning until the time I go to bed. I love being able to teach people. And because of that, I actually have a free webinar that I'm going to be hosting. I'm going to see if I can grab the link for you guys. And it's going to be teaching you guys how to be able to close the reading gap a full year with 8 to 12 hours of instruction. It's actually in the description. If you haven't joined me for it, definitely come join me for it. It's going to be August 30th at 10 o'clock a.m. Central Time. And I'm going to be sharing with you guys what I've learned over the years about how to be able to close the gap so that you have that ability to be able to close the gap as well. We'll also be opening up a new reading interventionist course starting in a couple of weeks. We're finishing off with our last group, and I'll be opening up the doors to that program again because I really do enjoy teaching others about reading. It's just a pure pleasure I have to kind of like listen to the questions that people have and be able to guide them into understanding all of the pieces. Really excites me. All right, now the half, right? Because I said 10 and a half. I didn't say like 10. I said 10 and a half. The half is, it is really cool to teach kids from all over the world. Their accents are fun. Their personalities are so much fun. I work with a kid in Peru. He's 4 years old. Oh my gosh, is he hilarious. He just lights up my day. I get to work with him early in the morning, and I'd have to say that it just to hear him talk just gives me pleasure. He's so cute and he's so adorable. And to be able to work with kids from all over the world, all over the United States, all over the world. I've worked with kids in Australia and developed really strong relationships with that family over there. I've worked with a family in the UK for a really long time, 6 to 8 years it's been since I started working with that family. And I've been working with one of their kids from that family for the last 4 years. I taught him how to read at 4. He's 8 years old. We are at the point where now he's not even like working just on reading skills. He's working on every subject. I'm kind of like his homeschool teacher. And then I've gotten to work with kids in Canada and, and even Hawaii. Hawaii, I've had a student. I've had a student in Alaska too. Two of our, furthest lying states here in the United States. And it's so cool just to learn about different things like, I worked with one little girl and her shades were always shut. And I had never realized that they live in complete darkness in the winter for a couple of weeks. It's just about complete darkness. And then in the summer, it's like just about for a couple of weeks complete sunlight. And so they have like these shut out curtains that shut out so that they can sleep and still have the normal kind of sleep schedule, even though the sun isn't really coordinating with their sleep schedules. And I just thought that was fascinating. I'd never looked at it from that point of view before of like what it would be like to experience that as a person. And then I had worked with a kid in Japan and he went on vacation and he was at the major mountain out there. Oh, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But here it is. It's in his background. I'm like, what the heck? That is so cool. Like, you just get to see things and do things that, you wouldn't be able to experience otherwise. And it was really, really exciting. Oh, thank you so much, Beth, for putting that on up there. I couldn't grab the link really quick. So if you guys want to join me for the reading webinar, definitely come join me for that. I want to be able to share my love for teaching reading with you. And if you are interested in learning more, definitely sign on up for that. Well, thanks for joining me and finding out my 10 and a half reasons for wanting to, why I love teaching reading online, why I still do it today. I know that I could probably make more money doing other things, but sometimes it comes down to when you love to do something, you just keep doing it, right? I mean, I get to pinch myself every single day because I'm doing what I love. So keep doing what you guys love. I'll see you all soon. Enjoy the rest.